science enthusiasts. Welcome to Spaces Unleashed. Every week on Twitter, we bring an expert to chat live through the Spaces program. And this is bonus content that goes with the Science Podcast. We hope you enjoy the show. So I introduced you both, Sarina and Brianna. So Sarina, you are you're the voice coming out of the Amoeba Sisters Twitter channel. And then Brianna, you are yourself.
Yes.
I'm not saying Sarina, I'm not saying you're not yourself, but you know what I mean.
Well, we could argue that.
So the first question I have for our guests, just as a little bit of an icebreaker, is where are you both in the world? Like where are you calling into the podcast from?
Well, I am over in Dallas, Texas, and Bree is also still in Texas. She's over in Houston. So we are about 3.5 hours apart from each other. So everything we do is all through Skype and Dropbox and Slack. We've mastered the art of long distance working.
Gotcha. Okay. And so just to introduce the Amoeba Sisters, could you talk a little bit about either of you? You can kind of riff off each other because there's two of you. Could you talk a little bit about what the Amoeba Sisters is for people that have tuned in that maybe don't know?
Sure. Bree, do you want to take this one? You want me to take it?
Sure. Well, I'll go ahead and start. So basically a little bit about kind of like where we started as far as like where we kind of came from. I'm a former biology teacher and I have been teaching for about 12 years. And we went full time with this. So our little adventure kind of started back in 2013. And Sarina, you do this story really well, talking about how that started. So I'm going to let you talk about it.
Okay, sure. So it's a kind of our little origin story. I read a lot of graphic novels, so I always like to think that I have an origin story. It sounds cool. So we started in 2013. Bree was visiting my apartment in Dallas, and she was trying to figure out a way to make educational science lessons more interesting, kind of less PowerPoint and, more engaging for the students. And so she gave a little spontaneous lesson on enzymes, and Bree just kind of breaks into spontaneous science lessons all the time. It's kind of a fun quirk of hers. But this one, she was comparing enzymes to Pac-Man. And I was just like so interested in science for the first time. And so I was like, you should record that little lesson and, I'll draw some goofy pictures and we'll just stick it up on YouTube. And maybe that will help some kids that, I was kind of did the bare minimum in science. I wasn't super interested in it. I just kind of did enough to keep my parents off my back when I was in school. And so I was like, maybe that might help some kids like me that need to learn this stuff, but just need a different way to present the material. So now we have made a full-time job out of it, but we are basically two amoeba characters on our YouTube channel, the Amoeba Sisters, and we talk about biology, in quick lessons, less than 10 minutes, all cartoon format. I don't animate them because we do not have the time. And I also think it's kind of easier to digest the information when it's not moving around so quickly. So we just kind of have still images. But we've been doing that for a long time now. We have a little over 1 million subscribers, which is amazing to us because if you saw our old videos, like they're so bad. And they were made in MS Paint, and Bree was using her phone to record, and they look awful. I'm sorry, they just do. But they're endearing, so we left them up. And now I like to think that I learned how to draw, and Bree got more concise. And so together, now our videos are kind of polished works, and that's just kind of what we keep bringing out today.
If you're just tuning in, we are chatting with the Amoeba Sisters, Brianna and Sarina, the dynamic duo. And so that's the origin story. But I have a follow-up question. Why amoebas? Why not?
So,
you know what I mean?
I kind of mentioned before, I didn't know how to draw when I started. And I thought maybe people would think that was funny because they're really bad drawings, and sometimes bad drawings are funny. So, I didn't know how to draw, and I was like, well, Amoebas are amorphous, so nobody can really critique, my amoebas too much because they're just kind of blobby, and so that's why we picked those. Just it is a very easy microbe to use.
And the spontaneous science lessons continued. Was the first video? Did the first video do okay, or did it just let Brianna like stretch her science legs with a captive audience with, and then you had to draw what she said?
I love that question. Bri, you want to answer that one?
It was kind of interesting when we first put it up. Like for a while, like nothing happened, and then we started to get these comments, and it was so neat because they weren't from anyone that we knew, and so we were like, oh, these are people that we know, and they were kind of writing something. So it was pretty cool that it just sort of started that way, just kind of, and it just took a long time, but then once
a long time.
It really did. I mean, we've been doing this it's been 8 years now. But once it started going, it really started going, and it got really exciting from that point.
Yeah, I still remember hitting 11 subscribers, and that was like such a huge deal. I called Bri. I was like, we're in the double digits, and none of them are our parents or our friends.
And now you have over 1 million. Like, does that shock you when you wake up in the morning sometimes? Is it still a little surreal that this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we never set out thinking this could or would be a job. It was just kind of a fun side thing to do with my sister. We were just having a good time and enjoying the process. We didn't ever think this would happen. So we've been very fortunate.
So is there a favorite video that you've done? I know you were a guest on the Science Podcast and we chatted then. I'm curious if it's changed or if it's the same.
I usually have the same favorite. Go ahead, Bri.
For me, I really feel like it's anything where I feel like I'm explaining a concept that would have been really hard for me as a student, or that I really was challenged with teaching. So, for example, it's funny because it's one of our older videos, but it's about chromosome counting and how to figure out how many chromosomes there are in the different stages of mitosis and meiosis, because, mathematically, it's so bizarre. You start out with a human, you have 46 chromosomes, and then after mitosis, you end up with 46 chromosomes. And it's very confusing unless you understand how you actually count those chromosomes. And so that actually remains one of my favorite videos, even though it's one of our older ones. And Sarina can be kind of hard on herself about the art, but honestly, like I look back and I still think, like, even the old ones, I still love them. And even though it's got the MS Paint stuff, I think that those kind of remain some of my favorites. And it might just be that I'm sentimental with some of those, where Sarina usually, and you'll have to tell me, Sarina, if it's changed, but usually your favorites are some of the more recent ones, because I think you feel like you are constantly getting better, like you're kind of this work in progress with your art.
Yeah. I used to, the good old days, I would draw something and be like, yeah, that's real good. Now I draw something and I'm like, I could have drawn that better. So I do like the newer videos, but I also like ones where, I feel like it references a game, kind of like how enzymes and Pac-Man work together. And I really love bacteria because it reminds me of Pokemon a lot. And, all the different types of bacteria. It's like capturing all these different types of Pokemon. There's good ones, bad ones, extremophiles, like all kinds of cool stuff. And oh my God, I love it. Yes.
I had that one in my back pocket.
I love that. That just time in my day. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. So I was super excited when we started doing that. And I was like, I can make like trading cards, Bri. And she's like, okay, if you want to. But yeah, I definitely like the newer ones. Viruses, I think, are really fun. Anything with the immune system, with these epic battle scenes is really awesome for me.
Is it tough to do some of the videos? Like, Bri, do you explain a concept and do you get super excited about it and then the artist of the two is like, whoa, what do you, I can't draw that, or does Sarina like, wow, we could give them like machine guns and they could be doing kung fu, and then Brianna, you're like, we'll slow down, we got to explain the science here. Like, is there a back and forth like that sometimes?
This is a constant thing with my sister and I. She's often telling me, you are just the fun police. Everything that you think is that I think is fun, you just don't think it's fun. And so I'm constantly, kind of telling her, oh, but that's not really, we don't want to have that because that's not really correct, or that's not. So I'm probably, we are a very interesting pair, because it is true, I'm probably not as funny as her, or I'm not. And I'm also not, I'm not as, I don't necessarily see all of biology the way my sister does. So we do really have challenges with that. We also have a lot of challenges where, as we've grown and we've learned more, some of the ways that we've drawn things, we've realized that we really need to improve. For example, when we're drawing DNA molecules, in the very beginning, if you look at our DNA molecules, they're just, it was MS Paint, so there's only so much you can do. But over time, I've really thought, well, we really should make these right-handed molecules, and we really should change the chirality of how these look. And we've really had more detail at it. And I think that kind of, from my sister's perspective, trying to balance that, because we do cartoons, our DNA has a top hat and eyes on it. How accurate are you going to choose? What are you going to pick to choose to make accurate? And what are you going to, have little notations? This is a scientific illustration. This is not, this is a cartoon that's trying to convey some type of biology concept. So we often kind of go back and forth with that, and trying to kind of decide at what point do we want to have certain cartoon, and what point do we want to have as much accuracy to the scientific illustration of it. And so a lot of times when we have topics, if they're really complex, those tend to be ones where we're really going to have a lot of her doing some edits and things like that. But I will say, sometimes the more complex it is, the better the video turns out. And my sister, she's really, because she is a science learner with these concepts, she'll kind of read my script and she'll say, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. She'll ask me questions. And it's really neat, because when she illustrates it, she is kind of seeing it for the first time. And it's really neat to kind of go over her edits. And I think it really helps explain that science. And that's been a really fun adventure between the two of us.
Yeah, I like what you said. I go back and forth between wishing I was somebody with a science background and being, an expert in understanding this, because sometimes I'll draw something and I'm like, man, I really hope this is right. And then Brie will be like, that's not right at all. But then sometimes I'll be like, well, like, I see this analogy you're giving me. Is it kind of like, like a wrecking ball? And Brie's like, I guess actually, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So I can, maybe communicate this to people that are learning this concept, is like, oh, hey, this is like, an enzyme wrecking ball coming in to get this, thing. And so that's probably a horrible, Brie's going to get so mad at me for doing some kind of science analogy. Brie's like, just don't say anything scientific, Sarina. So I think it actually kind of works out that I don't really have a science background. I'm able to communicate it to, somebody that doesn't. The fact that I don't have the science background is actually how we created the chromosome video, because Brie and I got in this big, I don't know if you call it argument, but this like frustrated like communication process of, I was like, Brie, do I draw one stick or two? And she's like, what? And I'm like, one stick or two sticks. She's like, do you mean chromatids? I'm like, I don't know. Like, these sticks, how many sticks are there? And then she was looking at it and she's like, oh, like, I understand what you're saying. I understand the misconception. And so we were able to make a whole video off of that, just off of me not understanding what she was saying. So that was, I think, helpful for students.
And do you ever add like top hats and mustaches sometimes to troll your sister?
I remember spending a whole hour on a forklift, and I can't even remember what it was for. And Bree was just like, "This is not a good use of your time." And I'm like, "This is the best use of my time because this is going to be hilarious." So, what I spend my time on versus what Bree wishes I spent my time on is probably very different. So,
Brianna, what did you want her to draw, and she drew a forklift instead? Like,
I'm trying to remember. I remember
so many videos.
She adds in things sometimes that she'll be like, "Well, I stayed up late drawing a forklift," and I'll be like, "Why?" So this happens
like,
often.
it's funny. Yeah, I know I did some like, I don't know if there's any anime watchers out there, but like some mech battle armor for a virus. And Bree was like, "I don't know, is this really violent? Because I don't know if we should have that for a classroom." And I was like, "I spent like 3 hours perfecting this battle armor mech bot. Like, you better let me use this." And we got in a huge argument about it, but I won, and it was so worth it. So it's the little things.
oh, come on. I'm totally with you. Mech armor's the way to go. I was like rushing to this interview because I was assembling a 3D printer another one that I got today. So, cause I am making my own armor. So I feel you.
Oh, that's so cool.
I feel you. So with, it seems like sometimes there could be a disconnect because if you understand the anime and then Brianna really gets the science, do you have to meet in the middle on a lot of things, or are we blowing out of proportion sometimes the disagreements?
I would say there's probably like maybe one disagreement per video that's like where I put my foot down, but most of luckily Brie doesn't watch anime or play many video games. So I think a lot of references in there that she doesn't even notice. And I'm like, if she's not going to say anything, it's just going to go in. And so I'm giving away all my secrets here. I'm just going to make her paranoid.
Awesome. So just a little bit of a room recap. If you've just joined us, we are chatting with the dynamic duo of the Amoeba Sisters. The Amoeba Sister account is Sarina, and Brianna is herself up top as a speaker. Is it a little surreal when teachers like myself come up to you or say, I show your videos like every week in my classroom because I do. And my wife is the co-host and she shows your videos every week in her classroom. And literally the last week I was walking by my colleagues and I heard your voice, Brianna, and it was the Amoeba Sisters playing on the smartboard. Is that a little surreal sometimes?
Oh, wow. That really is because, this was never like one thing I always mentioned, this was never something we had planned. I mean, this was something that we kind of were doing. We were doing it as a hobby, kind of like a sister bonding thing. We started it in July and it was in the summer. I wasn't teaching in the summer and we were just making these videos. And so for it to be something like this now, where, it now has become our full-time job is just unbelievable to me. Yeah, it's still very, very shocking. But we're so happy that it's useful because all I ever really want to be able to do is just to create something that is really useful. I think that is just, it makes me feel like, I'm doing something that has meaning to me. And I really love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to add to that, Sarina.
I messed up. I had a sound effect and I skipped too far. So there we go.
I love it. Yeah, I would add that it's been amazing. First of all, like just to get that positive feedback and just and very humbling. But it's also been a little scary just because I feel like there's more pressure now to make sure that we really are, good stewards of this information, to do a really good job of doing references, fact checking, making sure that we have up-to-date science, and then trying to decide, what are the really important details to keep, making sure our editing process is extremely extensive, to my dismay. But I mean, I'm glad it is. And it is for a reason, because I feel like we have, a lot of people to stay true to if they're trusting our content to use in their classrooms.
It is, like, personally myself as a teacher, when like Brianna, when I hear your voice, it's surreal for me that I'm talking to you, because you're the voice on the computer when I play these videos, and the kids really enjoy them. They're whimsical and they're cute and they're adorable, and they learn something way better than I could explain, because I'm a chemistry person, right? I'm not a biology person. And the videos are so well done. I don't know, I forget if I asked this question when you both were on the podcast. Do you go to conferences, like teachers' conferences? Because I can imagine you would be rock stars when you showed up. Like, you just roll in and be signing autographs and stuff like that.
We have gone to teacher conferences and science conferences. Since the pandemic, we really have not.
Pre-pandemic, I guess.
Yeah, pre-pandemic, we didn't go to very many, though. Even pre-pandemic, we probably would do, I don't know, Serena, would you say like 2 to 3 a year, maybe? Does that sound right?
Probably about that much.
I love it because I feel like I always told, there's this one conference in our area. It's called Cast, and it's this big Texas science conference, and I always feel like it's Disney World for science teachers. It's really exciting, and it's just neat to be able to be with other science teachers and to be able to talk to them, and just to give ideas for how to use these videos, and to really, because I really think these videos, they're only 5 to 9 minutes on average. And so they're really meant to be more of kind of this foundation, but I think they really lend themselves to discussion and labs and all the other things that sometimes as teachers, we don't have enough time to do in our class. So it's kind of neat to be able to have a way to present the info quickly, and then to be able to move on and to really discuss it and explore it and to go into that depth. And so that's what we like to do when we do have those conferences. We like to talk about, these are some ideas for using our videos as a way that, activities that you could do with the videos. And that's been really rewarding.
Yeah. On the rock star comment, we are incredibly awkward when we go to conferences. We don't know what to do with ourselves. And so if you do see us there and you want to engage with us, please do, because we are super introverted and shy, and we usually just kind of huddle together in a corner and be like, okay, we blend in here. So.
Do you, when Brianna's talking teacher shop at these conferences, do your eyes glaze over a little bit, Sarina? Like, my whole family. I feel
like you know me so well.
I'm a teacher. My wife is a teacher. My sister's a teacher. My dad is a teacher. And then when we all start talking teacher stuff, my other siblings are just like, oh my, just stop. So I would imagine being surrounded by that might be your own personal hell some days. So.
I have a huge respect for teachers. Okay. So it's actually not too eye glazing for me, but I do feel like I'm like not in the cool group. So I feel like, I don't know, like if a construction worker was hanging out with some teachers and just kind of like nodding my head, like, yeah, like I know what you're going through, but not really. So
Gotcha. It is a little awkward at those conventions, probably for some of the guest speakers, because it's like they know who you are and you don't know who they are. Well, okay.
I think we're just like that everywhere, to be completely honest. But I think that's why our job works so well for us. I'm sitting behind a tablet in my PJs, like 8 hours a day, just drawing nonstop. And then hopefully I talk to a human besides my toddler at some point.
Sounds like the pandemic really hasn't changed your job description.
Really has not.
Well, before we open up the floor to questions from our audience, because I want to keep this to a crisp hour, you both have to go at the top of the hour. The last question, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you both, because this is a science communication channel and it uses animals to communicate science. I guess amoebas are they part of Kingdom Animalia? No, those are protists. No, that's wrong too. See, that's why I don't teach biology. But anyways, it's a pet story, a pet story from your life. Would you both be able to share a pet story from your life?
Oh, for sure. Sarina, I'm going to let you go first. I know you just got a
billion pet stories. I have these opportunity to talk about my new dog. I've got a second dog now since I think we last talked to you. And her name is Clementine. And she's my second rescue dog. And she's so adorable. She was surrendered with I think 6 or 10 dogs or something. And she is just a doll. And she and my dog play bitey face all morning. So it's it's the best. I think rescue dogs are fantastic dogs. They just, I don't know. They just seem so grateful. I don't know what it is, but we love her dearly. So now we have 2 dogs and a cat, a very grumpy cat. And I know Bree's got a doggy over there.
Yes, I have a dog named Lady, and it's like the best story of how we got her, because my husband, he works up at a few different hospitals, and that year he was going from hospital to hospital. He's a nurse, and so it turned out that this dog was kind of on the side of the road, and my husband was trying to guide it away from the side of the road, oh my goodness, and trying to move it away so that it wouldn't get hit. And he's going in to work. The dog kind of scatters. And so he's walking in his scrubs, and the dog is behind him. And the person at security says, "Oh, sir, you can't bring your dog into the hospital." And my husband turns around and says, "Oh, that's not my dog." Almost like it's from a movie or something. And it turns out that this dog is the absolute best dog. We think that maybe she was dumped. We're not really sure what happened. The vet said that, she was pretty sick. She had a worm infection and some different things, but she is the most amazing dog ever. She's the sweetest thing. And she's like a Jack Russell Beagle mix. So my dog Lady.
Adorable. Sarina, what was the impetus to get a second dog? What caused that? What was the chain reaction there?
Chain reaction of getting another dog?
Yeah. Or just decided one day you woke up and we're we're getting another dog, because that's sort of what happened with us.
I've got a dog problem, my friend. If I could have 5 dogs, I would be a pretty happy person. So I've been looking for the perfect playmate for a year, and we've been fostering dogs on and off. And I've been trying to get a feel for what the best companion for my current dog would be. And I thought it would be a high energy dog, because my dog is off the energy scale. She's a collie mix. But it turns out she actually kind of likes the moderate energy, where they're not in her face all the time. She's kind of independent. So she was just kind of the first one we fostered to adopt, and she just was a great fit. So, but yeah, my poor husband, I wake up every day and I'm just I found this dog and I think we should foster it, and I'm going to bring it home sometime. And he's like, okay. And then I'm like, the dog is here. And he's like, oh gosh, I have the best husband. He's so easygoing.
I did make a PowerPoint presentation to try to convince Chris to get a third dog. It did not happen. So maybe in the future. So
I love that. I love Beaker, by the way. I love it. It's a she, right?
Yep.
She talks in all caps.
Yeah. Beaker tweets in all caps. That's right. That's how we differentiate the two of them.
It's fantastic. Goldens are such fantastic dogs from my experience.
Yes, she is a sweetheart. Very high energy. Yeah, both her and Bunsen are great foils of each other for sure.
I bet.
Hey everybody, I thought I would just give you some ideas about how you could support the Science Podcast. Number 1, you could support us on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/BunsenBurner. There's multiple tiers of support, and the lowest tier of support is not much more than a cup of coffee a month. The second way is you could check out our merch shop. We've worked really hard to partner with clothing companies that do a great job of providing vibrant colors and soft feels. We also have the Beaker Stuffy for sale. It's so cute. The third way you could support us is giving us great reviews on our podcast playing apps. Any kind of review helps. And if you can't find a review, share our podcast with people. Thanks, everybody. Are the two of you okay to take some questions from the audience?
Sure.
Yep. Tracy is good to go, and Liz is on deck.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So I just looked it up, and apparently amoeboid cells can be protozoa, fungi, algae, and animals. That's for you, Jason.
I know. I fact-checked myself, too, and I was embarrassed to tell everybody what I found. So I was sort of right, not really.
And I have been listening this whole time, but is this podcast, or is what you do, does it like teach you about different like science things or biology? Because I did, I missed like all of biology. I was very sick. So if you can learn some things through you guys, that would be pretty cool too. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah. So we do biology, life sciences. Mostly it's like the 9th grade standards for education, but we have a lot of college students that use it, and then we have a lot of students in nursing school, technical schools. So we've been really surprised the range that we've been able to reach. They're very basic introductions to different science concepts under 10 minutes. So we try to keep, we try to cater to people's attention spans nowadays, particularly mine, which is short. And we try to make it as, not as daunting as possible, and use as like the least jargon we can possibly use, just to kind of make it so that you can get a feel for the subject and kind of like what the basic concept is. Bree, do you want to add anything onto that?
Yeah. And, we really do focus on biology, but I really love to tell people, we're really for anyone that wants to learn biology. And again, like it really does focus on like high school standards, but we're moving into more advanced biology standards now. So a lot of the introductory college courses, and we are thinking of moving into some more sciences. Like we've thought about chemistry for for the future for like 2023 or 2024. I don't know, my sister and I were talking about that is like a future kind of move in there, because I am certified to teach chemistry and physics, but I have never taught it. And I think that I would definitely be looking for, script writing help and things like that before we ever did that. But but biology is really what we focus on right now. It's kind of a high school, college level, but for anyone that wants to learn biology.
Oh, that sounds really good, because then you have the short span, but then I can always like do more research afterwards too.
Exactly.
On the topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
Thanks for your question, Tracy. I love the Amoeba Sisters. They break down science very similarly to how Jason breaks down science. So if you enjoy how Jason talks about concepts, I know that you'll love the Amoeba Sisters. They're so good.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Liz is up next, and then we have Crystal Virgo on deck.
Go ahead, Liz.
Thanks for the intro, man. Well, good evening, ladies. You just actually kind of touched on this. I was going to share a quick story and then ask, if you guys could do something. When you guys were on the podcast, I got really excited, and I messaged my best friend who does the technology stuff at our college for practical nursing and registered nursing students. And I was like, oh my God, Erica, I was like, you have to check out this page. She's like, girl, I already knew about them forever ago. So we use you guys in college for nursing. So thank you for that. Do you guys do any forays into virology, or are you thinking about doing more A&P stuff? Because that's what kills everybody.
Yes, we are really thinking of some more A&P topics. We're actually really moving into body systems. My husband is a nurse, so it's been really awesome because he can kind of help proof a lot of my content. It's been very, very useful. I'm not sure about like any kind of thing that would be very specific with virology. I'd probably we would look into outsourcing as far as asking some experts in that field. I don't have any plans yet for that. We still kind of are looking at keeping a general overview of A&P, or if we move into chemistry, a general overview of chemistry. We still so far have stayed pretty general in that kind of sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I will tell her.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Am I next?
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. Yes, Crystal, you are next. You are on deck, and then we have it's Kish or Kish Rafiq after Crystal.
Right. Thank you. I'll be quick. First off, just to the Amoeba Sisters, I just wanted to thank you all for just everything you do. Your channel started when I was 13, and I didn't take biology until I was in my junior year of high school, but it's my favorite of the three. It's my favorite science, and although I do like geology though, but I still watch. I still love the way it's presented, and just thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. I am. Just not to divulge too much, but just real quick, I would say, I don't know the percentage, but I missed about round figures 4 years of school period because I'm physically disabled. I have a disorder, anyway. So I was on home and hospital quite a lot, and it really helped. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I love your rarity profile picture, by the way. She's my favorite My Little Pony.
Oh my God, thank you. You have good taste. But yeah, I have characters I have a crush on, and I have a list, but she's number one.
She's pretty awesome.
Anyway, as a feminine girl, when I was little, and then I'll let the next person, but when I was little, the feminine girls, even though everyone in the cast was equally as like physically, conventionally attractive, the ones who were into fashion and the ones who were into more high femme stuff, they were always the antagonists, and it wasn't until Rarity just completely changed my world.
Yeah, and she happens to be the most generous, which is one thing that I just really liked about her.
And she's so well spoken and well voiced. Anyway, next person, not off topic, but thank you.
I love it.
I love it too.
What a touching comment.
Yeah, the far reaching of your content, it's just amazing. Love it. So I'm not sure how to pronounce the next person's name. Kish. Okay.
Yes. Hi. I'm a huge fan. In 5 years that I've been teaching, I've watched every single video and I've converted them all into Edpuzzles. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what Edpuzzles are, but it's really helped me supplement really hard stuff like an IB Bio. But I just wanted to ask, in today's world where I feel like science is constantly attacked, or it's constantly fact checking with not really good sources, what would you say to the educators that are here? How can we ensure that the next generation and future generations stay science literate? And also, because this Generation Z is obsessed with TikTok, have you ever considered putting your videos into small little TikTok videos? That's all. Thank you so much.
Great question. So that has definitely been something that I know that has, especially in the past few years, has been really challenging. I think some of the best skills that students can be learning right now is how to evaluate sources. Because you can, I found this, there was actually learned, I like TikTok a lot with some of these little videos that some of them really get me thinking. There was one about, there was this man that he had read this article about coffee causing harm. And so he showed that if Googled, can coffee harm you? And it would pull up all kinds of things. And then if you completely change it, says, can coffee be good to you or good for you? Then all these things would come up. And, that kind of thing where you can kind of Google something and get confirmation of whatever you Googled is very concerning. And I think that students really need to be able to evaluate sources. I have found that some libraries are so awesome at being able to give resources to students to be able to determine whether sources are valid or not. And right now I'm working on my master's in bio, and I'm taking this class on science communication. And it's really eye-opening because one thing we have to do is we have to go through these articles and determine whether it's a valid source. And even myself, like after teaching and being in an academic field for quite some time, I still find it really challenging when you have to go search for where these sources come from, and really kind of emphasizing that to students. I really think this is going to be something that is just going to be a challenge in the coming years, but I do think librarians have some amazing sources for students and that practice for determining whether a source is valid. You mentioned TikTok. We do have a TikTok actually, but it's Sarina, you want to talk about our TikTok? Because I know you handled that.
Yeah, it's very new, and I'm still learning how to make TikToks. Although I am an avid TikTok user, I am not as good at making the TikToks. And I believe it's Amoeba Sisters official is our official TikTok account. And so we've been putting up some of our some shorts on there, just like really basic introductions, like viruses versus bacteria, and mitochondria versus chloroplast, just little short videos about that. But I do think it'd be really helpful to do some myth busting, I think, almost of some popular conceived science theories that are a little troublesome, but we just haven't quite gotten the time to do that yet.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Thank you so much.
I feel you with the TikTok content. It is time consuming. Yes.
It's a whole nother beast.
Yeah, it is. Great question.
And Kish, if I ever see anything on your on Edpuzzle, I'll be sure to, because I'm using Edpuzzle too, I'll be like, the Amoeba Sisters, and then I'll click yours, the ones that you've already created, because I'm sure they're fantastic.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on them, and I'll put in like jokes and stuff, or like I feel like I'm one of the few educators who like laughed, and all my kids are just staring at the video like it's not that funny, Miss Ruby. So like I'll put notes into my Edpuzzle where it says like insert laugh, you can laugh now, kiddos, or something like that, just so they can understand that science can be fun as well. And I think that's where my gratitude comes from, is that you've made science fun and attainable to those who I can't seem to capture their attention. And I can always reference back to like those silly cartoons, and they'll remember that. So you're doing great work. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're looking at about 7:45 here, and we do want to honor the time. So hopefully we can get to the rest of the questions and maybe a couple more who are on deck. So Monica, then Donna, then Kiki is how the order will go.
Hi, I'm Akriti. I'm a student from India, and I'm a really huge fan of your work. I'll just like to know when the next video will be released. And are you doing more topics on biotechnology?
Ooh, good question.
Sarina, you want to take this one?
Well, I know we're working on respiratory systems right now. We're doing some body systems. So respiratory's up next, and that's coming out very soon, depending on when Brianna is done staring at it for thousands of hours and giving me corrections. We were hoping this week, but knowing Bri, it could be next week, but very soon, definitely before the end of February. And then I think we're going to do a few more body systems, and I would love to do some more biotech, though, because I'm with you there. I love the biotech concepts. And I think, Bri, are we doing biotech? I know you have like it all planned out for us. I'm just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah, well, I really have an interest in doing like a video about CRISPR. That's one that I've really wanted to do.
CRISPR.
Yeah, I think it's really fascinating. I'd really like to do something like that in the coming future. So hoping to do that and maybe add a few other biotech. I'm so glad to hear, though, that biotech is something that you enjoy, because it's definitely something we've always been curious if our audience would like more of those videos or not. So it's great to know.
Thanks for the question. That was a good one.
Yeah.
We're international.
welcome.
We got people from India. That's great.
That's awesome.
So cool.
Thank you. Okay, Donna.
Well, hi y'all, fellow Texans. So
Yeah.
it's good to see y'all on here. I hope you're staying warm with this cold front coming through.
Yeah.
I don't have a question. I just have some compliments to give. So when I was a biology major in college, I would have killed to have classes like yours, and instead of the boring Ferris Bueller biology teacher from high school and college. But what I do love about y'all is your quick hitter videos remind me a lot of Schoolhouse Rock. And I don't know if y'all remember the Schoolhouse Rock from back in the day, but it's the science Schoolhouse Rock, and I love it. And I just wanted to say I know a band in Canada that could probably help you with music. Vultures of Parliament are really good about singing about biology and stuff. So I'm sure Jason can hook you up with that. But it was just a comment. I had comment on your Twitter post. That's nice to see female leaders in Texas, in the state we are right now in education, being at the forefront. And I love it. Just wanted to give you guys props.
Thank you for that. We do love Schoolhouse Rock. We actually were thinking about making a TikTok video or a YouTube short about cell junctions using the conjunction junctions.
Oh, awesome. I would be so down. I can sing that song. It's been, I'm in my 50s and I can still sing every song from that, including I'm Just a Bill sitting up on Capitol Hill. So, or Inner Planet Janet. I think of, there's a few scientists, Serafina, who's, what is she, Jason? An astrophysicist that was on your show.
Yeah, she's an astrophysicist. Her big goal is to be an astronaut. So she's in the NASA training program for that, working on her PhD.
Wow.
So I think about her when I hear that song still, but I just wanted to give y'all props. It's nice to see fellow Texans stepping up and doing something big.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Donna, I have a sound effect for you.
Bueller, 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 Bueller.
You win today, Jason. You win.
Jason is super funny. And he's been working hard on getting the sound effects.
You got to be quick with that.
Yeah, that's so amazing. You do that so fast.
Jason is quick with his sound effects and his wit. You can't keep up. He's too good. Okay. Thanks, Donna. We'll move over to Kiki.
Hi, guys. My name is Kiki. I am an ELL teacher, and I teach neurodiverse students. And I love your videos. They're wonderful. However, they're kind of very advanced. So if I may, and give you an idea, could you do a spin-off for very basic and elementary ideas for students that are neurodiverse? Would you consider that? Thank you so much. Please consider. Thanks.
That's a great suggestion. It would be really neat. We've thought about having like other channels that kind of go for different levels. So it's definitely something we'll keep in the back of our mind, because one thing we've been doing is like we have sister channels now that are having our videos dubbed in different languages. And it would be really neat to have different versions of our videos that maybe are at different levels that would help them be more accessible. So definitely something that we will consider for the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah.
Great question.
That is a super question. We'll move to Ariella.
Hi, Ariella.
Hey, nice to see you again. I'm trying to figure out how to reframe my question, because since I volunteered to come up here, we've already sort of touched on it. I was actually going to ask about your interest in doing any videos, using your amazing platform for myth busting, especially as we see during the pandemic, combating misinformation, maybe, for example, educating people on the technology behind mRNA vaccines. So I know you've already said that it's something that you may be interested in. I'm trying to figure out how to pivot my question. And the first thing that comes to mind is, do you ever consider taking on like consultants or collaborations? I know a lot of people in this space who I think would be really into it, who are, physicians. I'm an MD PhD student myself, and I'm like an aspiring science writer and illustrator. So, I'm always happy to facilitate connections, especially if it's to help combat misinformation. So, that's just, that's something I wanted to put out there and ask your thoughts.
That's a really good point. We so far we really haven't collaborated very much. We've had some exceptions. We had 2 videos about COVID-19. One was with a physician that was associated with the CDC, and then another that was organization. But we have wanted to do more videos where we can bring in someone that, like, we really like interview style videos, because interview style videos allows us to really ask someone who's an expert in the field, like you were mentioning. I think that is something that could be really powerful, especially as misinformation starts to and continues to increase. What are your thoughts, Sarina?
Yeah, I was going to just mention the 2 COVID vaccine videos we had done. That was definitely a new experience for us, because we usually make, these, bubbly introduction videos to different biology concepts. And they're, very, some of the comments are from students that have to watch the video for school that aren't super happy about it. But most of the comments are pretty positive and appreciative. But man, that was like a totally different experience for us to be in that field of trying to demystify a science that's become very polarized. So that was an eye-opening and taste of experience for what that world is like. Not that that would keep us away from it, but it did prepare us in case we go into that field a little more. I think with that situation is that we really felt like a social responsibility to talk about the vaccines. And I personally didn't really understand how they worked, not having a science background. So I kind of understood the people that were nervous about them. So I was like, well, Bree, maybe we can talk about these and, ask some questions. And so that was, I don't know, it was a really rewarding experiencing, despite all the, some of the negative attention from it.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mic was off. I was muting myself. I feel you there, Amoeba Sisters, with dabbling into science communication during a pandemic. It can get pretty rough, no pun intended.
It really can. It's hard to prepare yourself for something like that. Like, I feel like but I think interview style videos are really helpful, because then you can bring in people that, they're in the field, they're experts in that field. Right. So that is definitely something that I would like to do more of. I really would.
Nice. Who's next, Chris? We got a couple minutes left.
We have Hope next, and then Sushil is the last speaker.
Hi, I'm a student teacher in a biology classroom, and we use your videos all the time, especially the enzyme one. That one went over great with the kids, so that you kind of started with that. And I loved listening to your kind of origin story, and I just was wondering if you had any advice for somebody who's just starting out in this field about how to make the science that we are so passionate about and love so much interesting to the kids who really don't want to be taking any science classes.
That is a fantastic question. And, I feel like every year teaching, it is something that I really never completely mastered. It's one of those things I just felt like I just got a little better every year, a little better every year. I really think that one thing that really helps is being able to let students know why that thing that they're studying, why it matters and why it's relevant. And, it's really interesting because I think back to some of my classes when I was a student, and a lot of times when I was learning about like mitosis, no one ever really explained to me why I would want to learn about mitosis or why it matters or what the purpose is. Like I had to learn mitosis for a test. And I really think, introducing every topic with, here's what mitosis, here's why we want to learn about mitosis. Well, we want to learn because all of our cells, the only reason we get bigger is because our cells have to divide. And that's also how disease processes can happen. Like cancer can be an uncontrolled mitosis, and finding current events that deal with something that involves mitosis. I think that helps make that content more meaningful, because I think otherwise students get really stuck with just thinking, this is not relevant to me. This has no meaning to me. If I could do one thing over for my teaching career, I would have tried to focus more on that, because I don't think I started doing that till towards the end of my teaching. And I kind of regret that, because it's something now that my sister and I try to really put in the videos. I just think it really is a big key component that I think I was missing in the beginning. So that would be my advice, with just something to consider.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. And great success in your teaching career. That's awesome. I wish you great success in it.
Go get them.
Catch them all.
What?
Well, that's what I always say. Like with kids, they're like Pokemon. I want to catch them all. Like captivate them and get them to love science and math.
Oh, so you're not shoving them in a Pokeball and making them fight each other?
No, I wasn't going to do that. That would be a trip to the principal's office for sure.
That is illegal, Chris.
Well, maybe it would be a trip to the police station then. Okay. So there you go. If we have time, is it possible to have our last speaker, Sushil? Would that work for you guys?
Do you have time for one more question? Amoeba?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Hi guys, this is Sushil from India. One more fan from India. Actually, no, not me. My daughter is a huge fan of Amoeba Sisters. So she has watched almost all the videos, and she has a complaint that there's no more videos to watch. So,
That's so awesome.
So I'll just give my mic to Samiha. So she's feeling a bit shy. Say, Samiha. She's just 9, so she has just started watching your videos when she was 7. So from 7 years, she's from when she was 7, she was watching your videos, and she has completed all the videos, and she's watching them all.
That is so neat.
That's amazing. We love that. We love it whenever kids start, learning these really complex concepts that young. That's amazing. It's kind of our hope with the cartoon format to, both appeal to people who are totally overwhelmed with the content, and then people that are attracted to the content because it is cartoons.
That is so fantastic. That always makes my day, because really, these are on high school standards. That's so cool that someone, that is 9 is watching the videos. That's awesome.
We will have a new video out for her as soon as we can.
Yeah, it should be this week, but as Sarina mentioned, it'll be based on my edits. I find that the amount of edits I find is inversely proportional to how much time we have left. So as time gets closer and closer, I find more and more edits.
Yeah, we usually add about 3 days to at least to whenever Bree says she will be done.
Yeah.
The constant pressure to produce content, hey? But you're at the point where it must make you feel good that people are so hungry for new stuff. Both the pressure, but also, the not really the ego boost, but the pride.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Just amazed that people are still watching us, or that some people that have been with us, for so long watching their videos. Earlier, the listener that had been here since watching it since she was 13, that's just amazing. I wonder how they compare the videos. It's a little scary to think about, but it's just amazing to us.
I just always look forward to my biology units because I'm like, guess who's coming? It's the Amoeba Sisters. And then I like Kish are like, it's okay to laugh. This is so great. And I get so excited. And I hope that excitement kind of is contagious for the kids and their learning, but they probably also think I'm a little bit awkward like you guys.
Yeah, I really think it's the enthusiasm of teachers just goes a long way. I mean, somebody asked earlier about what they can do to inspire their students, and I wish I could chime in on those questions, but I'm just not an educator, so I never do. But man, I remember the teachers that were enthusiastic when I was a student. I had, one history teacher, he was so into history and I was not, but I learned so much because he was so hilariously excited about it. And I love that Bree is like that too. And I think that really goes a long way with students, like you mentioned.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
100%.
Yeah. Engagement comes from excitement. And speaking of excitement, it has been so exciting to talk to you both again tonight and to bring you to our Spaces Unleashed. A funny DM just came in. Maybe it would be a good one to finish the space with. Question: can toddlers be categorized as pets in biology? Because now I know, Sarina, you have a toddler, right? The last time
I do.
You were
She's
just about ready.
2.
Yeah, you were like 8 months pregnant, I think, when we had our interview a couple of years ago.
I was. And I do think they can be categorized as pets. They're just slightly harder.
Way harder to potty train too.
Exactly. I know. My dog had it down in a week. I'm like, what's taking you so long, Rose?
Oh my goodness. Well, it has been such a treat to have you both back, and a treat to bring you to the Spaces community and the Spaces, I guess the platform here on Twitter. Thank you both so much for talking to us today.
Yes, and thank you. One of my favorite parts is how you guys giggle and just are so lighthearted. I love it.
Oh, well, we are big laughers over here.
We spend a lot of our day laughing at each other.
Yeah. It's good old pastime.
It's nice to engage with other people, though.
I know. Yeah, this is like the most people I've talked to all week.
Unusual for us. Which makes us a little awkward because it's usually just the two of us all day, every day.
Just personally, 2 things before we wrap up. The artwork for the Science Podcast Twitter account was done by Sarina, and it's amazing. It's Bunsen talking to I think it's still there, like an amoeba. So thank you for that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that is still the main Twitter artwork. And the second thing is, I will never forget pro rhymes with no for prokaryotic. And you is you and me, eukaryotic. And I'll be happy to tell you, when I teach that and show that video, the kids never get that question wrong.
That is awesome.
The little mnemonics, they go far.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Chris, do you have any words before we wrap up? I kind of cut you off there.
Yeah, just thank you so much for coming. This was a little bit of a lifelong dream. Well, maybe not lifelong because I haven't known you guys for that long, just since I started teaching science about 6 years ago. But yeah, it's really great to share you with our community. Thank you.
Thank you for giving up your time tonight.
We love hanging out with you guys anytime. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So folks, please give the Amoeba Sisters a follow. Please check out their YouTube channel. Talk to your fellow educators in science about what they do. Tell them to give them their heads a shake if they're not showing their videos in the classroom. And anytime the both of you would like any kind of content pushed, just give us a shout. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks again so much.